They've been lying about fertility, and here is the truth. Most of us learn how to not get pregnant while growing up, but in regards to conceiving, we're told to just let it happen. It's natural, it's easy, until it's not. And it causes so much frustration, confusion, and it just doesn't make you feel good. And you want to feel good throughout that journey. And the truth is that your hormones and fertility are so deeply connected in everything, in sleep, stress, nutrition, your environment, the way you take care of yourself every single day, and just no one really prepares you for that. Joining me today is Lauren. She is an integrative health practitioner and the founder of Calibrate Health and Wellness. And welcome, Lauren, to Life in Bloom. We're so glad you're here, and I'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
I'm Lauren, a fertility awareness educator and integrative health practitioner and founder of Calibrate Health and Wellness. Like many of you, I struggled with my own health issues, from gut issues to hormonal imbalances, and really struggled through that journey until I found out how powerful data and diet and lifestyle could be to just making sure that my body was actually functioning the way that it was supposed to. I created Calibrate to help take the guesswork out of health for women on their own health journeys, providing tools, guidance, and lab interpretation so that women can solve the root cause of their chronic health conditions.
If you're new here, this is Life in Bloom, a space where we talk about realities of womanhood, about how what we wear, how we care for ourselves, and how we show up all connect. Let's get into our conversation today. So as you guys know, last week I shared that I am officially pregnant. I'm 15 weeks, and I'm so excited and feel so blessed for this. This journey was very different from getting pregnant with Ava. Take a little bit longer. And throughout that journey, I actually ended up scheduling my IUI for the first week of June and found out I was pregnant 3 weeks before my IUI appointment after going the holistic route. And, I learned so much throughout that journey. And so my first question for you is, for women who are trying to conceive or thinking of getting pregnant one day, what are the biggest things you wish they knew about, just their hormones and fertility?
I think the first thing that I always want women to know is that they have so much more control over how their body is functioning than I think we've been led to believe. I think from like the moment we start our periods, we're handed birth control to regulate this or a pill to regulate that. And we have a lot more control just with how we're taking care of ourselves. And so I think that's the first thing that people need to understand. One thing that I think is really powerful and something that I learned through my fertility awareness education is that your cycle is actually a vital sign for you. So anytime something feels off, you're not feeling your best, you're like experiencing pain, moodiness, you're ovulating later, that's all a sign that the system is not functioning just like the way that it's supposed to. So I think it's really important, first and foremost, to not ignore those signs. Again, we're handed things to fix everything in our cycle, and we should be paying more attention to what our bodies are telling us on a monthly basis.
It's so funny that you say that, because when I started doing acupuncture, he started tracking my cycle and he was like, "What's going on here?" It was like all over the place. So definitely see that as an issue. As you guys know, A.ROSE was born from my postpartum journey, and I was just trying to feel like myself again. And postpartum is such a raw and vulnerable time. What role do hormones and nutrition play in helping a woman feel her best self?
It's a great question. I think postpartum is such a crazy time. Like, at the very least, you're healing a giant wound inside of your body. Hormonally, your hormones just like dove off a cliff. Like, they were up here and they just plummeted. And society just tells us that we need to bounce back, or we're expected to show up to this birthday party or be back at work in a few weeks. And that healing period takes a lot longer than I think society gives us, or society lets us on to believe. Nutritionally, things are so important to make sure that we have what we need, like we have what our body needs to heal our uterus. So nutrition-wise, it's extremely important to make sure that our body has what it needs to heal. Contractions and just like the birth experience in general is essentially like running a marathon. So making sure you have the right like electrolyte balance, that you're hydrating properly, that you have enough iron to like replace all of the blood that you just lost. Warm and healing foods are really important to make sure that your digestive system doesn't have to work on overdrive to like digest all like raw foods like salad. Not to say that salad's not healthy, but our bodies just require a different type of support postpartum. The work that I do with my clients, I definitely focus on giving them a specific postpartum nutrition plan. Everything from, what to prep in your freezer before you give birth to what to have your like in-laws prep, like meal prep for you while they're over taking care of the baby, because it's very important.
For someone who just feels off, let's say like low energy, mood swings, irregular cycles, what are some like simple first steps they can take to balance out their hormones?
Great question. um, so first and foremost, I always look at diet because I'm holistic. I look at diet and lifestyle first. From a diet perspective, what I see most is that women are oftentimes under eating the caloric needs. Our hormones require a ton of energy to actually function, and because of diet culture and what we've been taught to believe about like the size we should be and the kinds of food that we should eat and the way that we should be exercising, a lot of the times we're in this caloric deficit that kind of puts our body into this state of like, oh, I'm not safe, and it kind of shuts down your reproductive system. And your reproductive system, even if you're not trying to conceive, is responsible for hormone balance. So that is crucial, is just to make sure you're eating enough, especially enough protein. I tell my clients 80 to 100 grams of protein a day, which some people look at me like, that's crazy. But you can titrate up, right? Like if you track for a couple days and realize you're only getting about 40 to 50 grams in a day, like the next couple days focus on 60 and then focus on 70. You don't have to solve everything first and foremost. Lifestyle wise, I think it's really important to make sure you're getting outside and getting sun, that you're moving your body. Our drinking water is really important to make sure we're not like adding to the toxic burden that our bodies are having to process through. We're just exposed to a lot these days. We look at everything that a woman is doing in her day-to-day life and kind of find little areas to tweak.
Oh, that's awesome.
And if things aren't regulating themselves and we're like kind of in a stuck place, I always recommend blood tests and a full thyroid panel to make sure that all of that is functioning, because low iron and thyroid can be responsible for low energy mood.
Okay. What are some misconceptions about fertility that you wish more women just understood?
So much. I think first and foremost, we're all taught that we ovulate around day 14, and that's the advice we get for the most part when we tell our OB that we're going to start trying. It's like, try around day 14. Most people don't ovulate on day 14.
Yes.
And so if you're using that logic, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment. And I teach clients how to track their cycles through basal body temperature and cervical mucus, because those two signals together can tell us, one, if you're ovulating. And then if you are ovulating, pregnancy is possible in any cycle where ovulation occurs. So if you are ovulating, we can kind of figure out what your typical pattern is. Sometimes it's later, sometimes it's earlier, depending on your age or your lifestyle. And knowing that can help make sure women have more success as they're trying. The other thing is that egg quality. I'm very passionate about this as a woman over 35. After 35, we're told that our eggs are old and the quality is bad. And we have less eggs the older we get. That part we can't change biology, but we have a lot more control over egg quality on our diet and lifestyle. So everything I work with on clients is diet and lifestyle to support egg quality and making sure that the follicles are developing properly. And finally, sperm quality is so important. I think the onus is usually put on the woman to figure out their fertility.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot. I think the stat is about 1/3 of infertility cases falls on male factor infertility. And so definitely get your partner's sperm analyzed. What's normal, what's considered normal, is not necessarily optimal. So get somebody who knows how to interpret those.
That brings a lot to mind for me, because throughout this journey, getting pregnant again, we definitely did not even pay attention. It was crazy. He didn't want me to pay attention to the temperature or the app, really. It was more the mucus and making sure that my discharge, what it looked like, and sharing that. And that could be a little bit TMI, but we got to do what we got to do. And it taught me so much that our body tells us so much. And then the second thing is 100%, he put me on a very strict nutrition diet, and there were certain things I needed to eat at certain times of my cycle. And then lastly, the sperm test. We actually had my husband take a sperm test and went through it in detail. So very, very much aligned with what you're saying, and, part of hopefully why this beautiful blessing happened. What are some signs that our hormones might be out of balance that people might often overlook?
This is such a good question because I think we're taught to understand the length of our cycle. Like most period tracking apps just track when our period starts and when the next one comes, and we know how long it is, but we're not paying attention to other parameters that might play into how our body's actually functioning. So first and foremost, cycle length is important, so I'll start there. 23 to 35 days is considered normal. So anything under 23 days, anything over 35 is something to look into. The second one is delayed or anovulation, meaning you don't ovulate during your cycle. And you can determine that through tracking cervical mucus and basal body temperature like we talked about. If ovulation is significantly delayed, let's say like day 20 and beyond, most likely you're having a long cycle, so that would have tipped you into that too. But that can tell you a lot about how your hormones are functioning. So delayed ovulation might mean that you have low estrogen. The other thing to pay attention to are PMS symptoms like moodiness, cramps, hormonal acne, the things that we typically go to our OBs about and they put us on birth control to fix. Those are signs that we're not producing enough progesterone. And progesterone is essential for conception specifically, but it also helps just regulate the hormone balance in our body on a month-to-month basis. So don't ignore those signs.
Yes.
Pay attention to them. The last thing is heavier light bleeding. So just like the quality of bleeding, really heavy periods might indicate that you have estrogen dominance. There's like too much estrogen in your body. Really light periods might mean that you're exercising too much, you don't have the proper nutrition that you need. And so we can take a look at all of those things and put together a specific plan for each individual client.
How do you help women shift from just pushing through to listening to their bodies?
Everything I do with clients is really rooted in education. I think it's really important for them to unlearn some of the things that we've just been taught or fed throughout our adolescence and into womanhood. You don't need a pill to fix things. There are reasons that you're experiencing symptoms that you are experiencing, and my role in this is to help them uncover like what that underlying cause is. I think one of the best things that education provides clients is making sure that they know how to advocate for themselves at their doctor's office. I know that I'm not the only practitioner or provider that a client is working with. They're often working with their OB and maybe an acupuncturist. It's really important for them to know that what's common doesn't necessarily mean that it's normal. And I try to just help make sure that they know how to advocate for themselves in the doctor's office, ask for what they need. They understand how their body's supposed to work. So when somebody says, oh no, that's fine, they can push back with a little bit more confidence.
Well, this was such a powerful conversation. Thank you so much for coming on Life in Bloom. And I really just want to talk just really quickly about what those initial steps would look like if someone were to work with you and how they can contact you.
We always start with an initial evaluation. So that initial evaluation is a lengthy process. We spend 60 to 90 minutes together. You fill out a really in-depth intake form so that I can understand every symptom that you're experiencing, even beyond what you think is hormonal. We can kind of piece together like, oh, this gut thing over here might be related to like why your hormones aren't performing the way that they're supposed to be over here. So I try to do a lot of dot connecting in that initial evaluation. From there, I'll send clients off with a plan, like a diet and lifestyle plan to get started with, and usually some lab work that I recommend doing too, just to like fill in any missing data points that we need to put together a full story. And if someone wants to start working with me, they can reach out to me on my website. It's calibratewell.com. And yeah, I would love to meet some of you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today. We really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me.